The following podcast is brought to you by the 99 Network, New Michigan's premier spot for all your local podcast needs. The following podcast is biblical conversations for sinners, by sinners. Eddie and Hayden are not qualified, are not pastors, but they have a passion for Christ and his teachings. Welcome everyone to Platitudes.
Oranges.
Oranges.
Orangatugans.
Oompa Loompas. Okay.
Oompa Loompas. Was Peter Dinklage an Oompa Loompa?
No, it was Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant.
Yep. Well, in the most recent version.
I have no idea. I was curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a famous small person, so I figured if he was going to be the famous small person, he might as well be the Oompa Loompa.
Nope, it was Hugh Grant. But speaking of curiosity, welcome back to Theolitiads, biblical conversations for sinners by sinners. I am your co-host, Eddie Switek, joined today by the other host,
Hayden Cobley. Hello.
Hi, Hayden.
How are you?
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's been a while.
Some things have happened since our last show.
Yeah. What's been going on in your life?
Oh, my wife and I have welcomed a new baby into
Congratulations.
our life. A beautiful baby girl by the name of Charlotte. And
Ooh.
yep, she is a blessing to our life, and we cannot be happier. And our son is adapting very well to her. He loves her very much. So our dog is also adapting very well.
Good.
But things are going very good in our family. Our life is full of blessings, so it's going very well.
Good.
We're losing sleep, but that's okay. We will gain it back.
Losing sleep. Poor guys.
Yeah,
okay. I can imagine.
More Kristen than I, but that's okay. She's okay with it. I'm okay with it.
She's a trooper.
Yeah, she is.
The real MVP.
Yeah, she is the real MVP. Oh, man. Yep, she is. She is my hero. Absolutely.
Well, good. Yeah, I know. It's been a few weeks here. But yeah, so Charlotte is 1, 2, 3.
She'd be 2 weeks old today. Yep.
Cool. Oh, today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Uh-oh. Yeah. So I forgot to plug the computer in, and
that happens. Died. You'll get that on these big jobs sometimes.
Yeah. Whoopsie doodle. But we're back.
We are back. Hey, man.
Thankfully, it saved. We didn't have to go back through it. So yeah, that was nice. Yeah, you had asked how's Colin, my son, doing? He's doing really well. Getting along well in school, almost finished with his junior year here.
Nice.
He texted me the other day and he's like, "Hey, can you call me? Can you talk right now?" And I was like, "What's going on?" So I was at work, so I called him. And he's like, "Hey, I got a biblical question for you."
Oh, let's go.
And I was like, "What's up?" And he said, we ended up talking about it the entire class for his history or his social studies or something, because I forget if he had asked it or something. Somehow they got on the topic of if, like people elsewhere in the world, if you lived somewhere where Christianity was not present or you didn't know about Jesus. So if you had never heard about Jesus, you had never heard of God, anything, and you died, like, would you go to heaven? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I said, yeah. I said, Paul even says it. I believe it's in Romans, and there's, I think somewhere else in Acts, but it's as long as, God knows your heart, and if you've never met Jesus or never heard of him, anything, like, you'll be fine because God is going to take care of you. It's only when you hear the word and you hear the gospel and actively deny it that, okay, now we're going to have a problem. And he's like, okay. He's like, that's what I thought. That makes sense. He's like, all right, thanks, Dad. Bye. It's just like, okay. Like,
that's awesome, though.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I was like, okay, they're talking about that in school.
That's cool.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, that is cool. Junior in high school, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's That's pretty cool. They're talking about that in the classroom.
Public school.
That's crazy too. Yeah, we're talking about it in public school. That's cool. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought that was really neat. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to study more into it. I'm going to look more into it. I was like, well, cool, bud. That's
awesome.
You.
Heck yeah. That's awesome that you're that person who comes to the question.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. Cool. And I don't have the complete answer, and I need to do more research on it, but that's why I was like, I'm pretty sure, I think more that more or less Paul was like, God knows what's in your heart and takes it from there. Mm-hmm. So, he's been doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would feel like if you've never heard the word and nobody's ever given it to you, or like those tribes in the Amazon or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're pure of heart or something, I don't know exactly the process that's gonna happen when I shut my eyes for the last time, but like I can imagine Jesus is gonna be like, hey man, like what's up? Like come on, and they're gonna be like, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, this guy, I'm following him. Yeah, you know what I mean? So like I can imagine that they'll have that chance.
I kind of believe it's going to be like Loki, where you show up, and it's like that long line at the TVA.
Yeah.
There's nobody there, but you still have to walk through all the hoops or whatever and everything, and you have to take a ticket, take your number, and get up to the. There's like a little video playing of like, "Hi, welcome to the TVA. Hi, welcome to heaven. What you're going to find is, but it's like going to the DMV essentially." And then once you eventually then get through and get everything, then it's paradise. But like to get through that process, I feel it's very bureaucratic.
I mean, honestly, it must be honestly because it's human nature. We love standing in lines. We do.
Yeah, we build entire parks so that we can do the majority thing is standing in a line.
Yeah, honestly,
for like 10 seconds of fun.
Yep, exactly. Like, hey, let's go stand in line all day. Yeah. We'll occasionally ride a roller coaster though.
This roller coaster, it lasts what, 2 minutes 30 seconds? And I have to wait 4.5 hours? Yeah. Done. Let's do it.
We'll have to be inconvenienced every once in a while to ride a roller coaster, but the rest of the time we'll be standing in lines, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something too. Like the amount of inconvenience we put ourselves through for just a little bit of pleasure. And it's that just kind of occurred to me of like, that's wild, like how much, but we won't do it for things that we need or like to better ourselves or anything.
Think about like how much you'd go out of your way, like how much someone who's addicted to drugs would go out of their way to get like that next fix,
Yeah.
And when they could spend that same amount of time trying to better themselves and be healthier, and live a better life and longer life,
Yeah, that I do know because today will be 10 days sober.
Attaboy.
No nicotine, no alcohol, and I tried really hard, no lust, but so far no nicotine or alcohol. 10 days.
That's awesome. Good
Thank
for
you. It's very hard.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Gum has been helping.
Gum?
Yep, Trident gum. So
nice.
like when I get, because I'm literally like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, right.
And that has been the biggest thing of just like, there's all this time now and that I was constantly fiddling with something or constantly doing something or my entire life. And I swear I apologize to everybody in Lascaux this morning because they must have thought that I broke up with Tiffany because she was in tears and we both started crying. It was a very emotional morning after church because we hadn't really talked about it. Like she knew that I was trying to do, but she was struggling with like, why? Yeah. And then she thought that it was her fault and that she doesn't want me to be miserable and miss out on things in life. And she thinks I'm going to resent her and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, like I was a terrible person. Like I'm really, and she's like, you're not a bad person. You're not. I'm like, yes, I was like, because I really thought about it. I was like, my entire life revolved around beer. And it still does. It's like, it's so hard to break. And it's so there's everything. There's, between parties or cooking or like when I cook, I was drinking. When I go down and I was doing the laundry, I was drinking.
It's
when it was literally everything. You go play golf, and I haven't done that yet. I feel like that's going to be very difficult this summer. But it's been a weird week. And today it just kind of culminated and she's like, well, why? What happened? And I said, I don't know, man. I was like, I heard an interview with Alice Cooper. And he was like, yeah, it's been 30 years or something at that point. He's like, I've followed Jesus and I've been sober. And he said, literally, I was doing drugs and all the sex and all the everything. And he's like, and I was going to kill myself essentially with just being terrible. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and I just looked up and I said, God, take these addictions away from me. And he goes, and it was like that. And I was better. And he said, so I devoted my life to Jesus and helping and, still played my music and everything, but I haven't had a drink or drug or anything in 30 years. And he's like, and I owe it all to God. And I was like, holy cow, because we had talked a little bit on one of our previous shows of, you don't have to go it alone and you don't have to do it alone. Yeah. It was Jesus, let me bear the yoke, give your problems on me.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
And so I did. I was like, all right, God, I said, if you can do it for Alice Cooper, I said, I'm not as cool as him, but hopefully you can help me.
You're way cooler. That's why.
And it was not, like I say, it's still a struggle and I've tried to quit before, but this time is completely different.
Because you're handing it over to God.
I did. I was just like, I said, please God, take these addictions from me. Please God, take these addictions from me. And it has been miraculous. It literally has. This last week has been the easiest I'd ever have been to quit from everything. And it's just been boom since last Wednesday.
Wow.
I went out with Spencer and, we went and we did trivia and then we went to Circle Bar and we were singing karaoke. It was a perfect night. It was so cool. It was really great. It was I love doing trivia. I love karaoke.
Yeah.
We were trying different beers. We were meeting new people. It's everything I love. It was literally my whole life up until that moment of just drinking and meeting people and doing these games and everything. And then the next morning I felt like crap and I was looking back on it and I was like, man, I completely forgot I was supposed to usher at church that night. I didn't go.
Oh, wow.
Because it just clicked in my head. I was I get to go have a drink and have dinner with my brother. Why not? And, so there's bad number one. And then I don't have the money for it. I don't have extra money. And I was spending that. Mm-hmm. And then it got later in the night and we're singing karaoke and I was getting flirty and I didn't do anything, but just the fact of in my head, right. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy cow, I really am a shitty person.
Oh, no, you're not.
No, really, that has been.
Well, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But you realize it though,
Yeah, well, and that's what Tiffany this morning. She started crying. She's like, "You're not a terrible person. You're not." And I was like, "Yeah," but I really took a hard look at the decisions I was making and the person I was, and you don't deserve that. Mm-hmm. Nobody around me deserves that version. And so I was like, this is it. And I said, God, help me take these addictions away. And since 10 days now.
That's awesome, dude. That is so cool.
It was tricky last night, our daughter's 21st birthday. So she went out, or we all took her out, and she had a couple of drinks and everything. And it was so weird and surreal to sit inside the Shot and Shell at midnight with karaoke going and the whole atmosphere, and you're just sitting there. And you're the music, but I ended up watching the Hunger Games on, the TV half the time. I was just like, I don't need to be here like this. I want to be here to celebrate, but at the same time, I was like, this sucks.
You never thought you'd be that guy.
Yeah. And I don't want to be that guy of everything's awful and you guys. No. And I'm not judging anybody or anything. Not. And that, but then that's why Tiffany had such a hard time today. She felt like I was judging her, and even she doesn't drink really, or doesn't do anything, but she feels bad. And I'm like, no, man. I said, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to be a better person. You deserve the best of me. My job deserves the best version of me, not tired all the time and not all this. And and so it's been a real awakening. So because God's helped me, I have just been pouring myself back into scripture. I've been studying, started learning Hebrew and Greek.
Oh, that's awesome.
Greek is not bad. That's actually not bad. Hebrew is super hard. Hebrew is wild hard. So I've been doing more of that than the other. But yeah, just because I want to be able to read the scriptures one day, for myself, and really pick into the minutia and read the poetry of it. Yeah. It's super cool. And I've been more, and that's the other thing. I've had so much time now that more money as well. I'm not drinking half a 30 rack every night, and I haven't been spending $80 a week on cigarettes, and like, so we've been able to pay some more stuff down and get things better. And so it just, things are lining up and going really well. But the most difficult thing is like, what do I do now? Because like I said, everything had revolved around. I built a bar in my basement.
Right.
And I was
literally,
like,
yeah.
I was like, well, what do I do with you now? You know? And it's, I was thinking about vacations and stuff. I was like, well, we wanted to go on a cruise next year. I was like, well, the only thing fun about the cruise was just being hammered the whole time in a pretty area. I was like, I don't know what you do on the boat for 7 days if you're not going to drink. Like, you know what I mean? And there's other stuff, and there's more and more things that I have to think about, and it's a whole different paradigm shift in life. That so I've like I said, I've had more time that I've been spending with Tiffany and reading, and I've gotten much further into my Christian dogmatics book, F. Pieper, which is fascinating. It was written in the 1920s by the fourth president of the Lutheran Church. And he's, when you think about the context of that time, and there were some wild theologians saying some wild stuff.
Yeah.
And like, he's trying to bring everybody back to scripture and really diving into, the dogmatics, the kind of the law and the faithfulness of scripture, and it's really cool. So that's what I've been reading lately. And so I'm sorry, I would talk.
No, don't be sorry. That's an awesome testimony, man. That is so cool, dude.
Because you were talking earlier, you're like, man, I've been trying to quit vaping.
I have. It's been
and you're
5
like,
days.
it's been so hard.
It's been so hard.
And I didn't want to say anything, so I wanted to leave it for this because I want to be like, yes, it is.
Yeah, dude. I quit I quit cold turkey about 5 days ago, and I couldn't do it. You know, it's like in the evenings, I still I still resort back to it, and sometimes it's hard. But dude, that you just gave me so much faith. Like I make a vow right now. Like I'm done. Right now,
because it was 2 weeks ago that I stopped
done.
vaping, and then it was that Wednesday night though that I hit Spencer's. So that's when I reset the clock. So it's like, okay, 10 days now. It's been.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
believe in you.
That's awesome.
Gum, gum. When you feel.
Look at that.
Yeah,
I got my vape right here. It's in the trash. There it is.
See the conviction on this guy. Holy cow! He
Dude,
just
I've been
away.
feeling convicted so much recently just because of that. Yeah,
and I mean, it literally, like when you feel, because the first couple days suck, and so you feel like you want to hit it. That's when I pop in a thing of gum and just So far, that's at least for me. That's been helping.
I've been doing a similar thing when I feel the urge. I like kind of put my hands over my face and I do the same thing like you did at the beginning, like. Take addiction, leave my body in Jesus' name. Leave my body, addiction, get out of my body in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
And that works. And I feel good. And I do that just about every time I kind of feel it. But at the same time, it's like you're walking around in Walmart or Meijer or anywhere, you know, and like you just kind of like, oh, you know, it's kind of like, I mean, you can still do it, but it's like, I don't know, it's the act of doing it that kind of, you know, it's a whole hand to mouth.
It is.
Process,
you're Dale Gribble, man. Yeah. I don't know what to do with my hand.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So. But that's
cool.
awesome.
Well, I'm proud of you, buddy.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, that's cool. And you know, Pastor Marcus was on stage talking today, and he was talking about that there's always a consequence for sin. You know, it's not like sin feels good, but it's not. There's not a like you might not feel that consequence for it, you know, might not realize it, but you 100% realize that you woke up, you felt like shit. You were like, oh, I don't have the money for that, you know, and then you felt the conviction, you felt bad about it. That's the consequence, like the right there, real world, like physical consequence of it. Yeah. Obviously there's spiritual consequences of it as well. You know, but that's awesome. That's awesome.
But it's I feel so there's always like, you know, you want to satisfy that urge, right? And just by like pouring into the Bible, pouring into the books, listening to the music, watching The Chosen. We've been watching The Chosen.
Oh my gosh, are we going to talk about that?
We will. But I'm just saying, just filling the rest of my time and energy of just kind of thinking about God and thinking about Scripture, I feel full. And I feel satisfied. Yeah, it's like I don't need to be numb anymore. I don't need to have that feeling of like, oh, there's a smoke, oh, there's a beer, because it's like the whole that was inside of me is filling with God. It's full. It's wild. Yeah. It's such a weird, like, just calm, collected feeling that you're just
You're walking with
you know
Jesus.
What I mean? Yeah, dude.
You're walking
wild.
with Jesus.
It's wild. I cannot explain.
You've been walking with Jesus for a long time, but now you're just walking a lot closer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's so crazy.
That's awesome, too.
What have you been reading? What do you got?
Oh,
I see a couple books over here.
This one, I like this one a lot. This is the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
What do you got? What do you got open to, Matthew?
Yeah, we've been reading through Matthew. I like the book of Matthew a lot, and there's a lot of good parts in it that I look to, and for some reason I always find myself going back to it. It's one of my favorite sections. I love the whole Bible, but it's a lot. The Sermon on the Mount, and it's very, I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't find words, honestly, but it's one of my, I always go back to it. And also my disciple group I'm in, my small group, we're in the book of Matthew right now for the last 3 weeks. So, and I was telling you, we're going through maybe a chapter every day we're supposed to go through, but sometimes, it's go through and you're like, oh, I'll read through 5 chapters,
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable to read. I love every time I go through it. It's obviously for me, it's the number one section of the Bible that I've read the most times,
Yeah.
But every time I read it, it's I highlight something new, I've got so many sections in it highlighted,
Then you got to start doing it different colors, so it
exactly.
differentiates.
Yep.
I do the same thing.
I have at the beginning of my Bible.
You have a ledger.
Yeah,
nice.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, some of them kind of don't correspond what I have in there because
legend, not ledger.
Some of them kind of sometimes don't correspond with the colors I have in there because I'll be mini revelation. I'll be like, whoa, that's cool, whatever, But I don't really the color doesn't matter as long as it brings my attention to it. I'll know the meaning,
Yeah.
But this book is very good. I didn't just start it. I guess you can say I just started it about 2 weeks ago, but I haven't really been finding the time to dive into it too far. But it's called Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer, and it is.
Ooh, I know. I'm gonna have to add that to my list. It looks cool.
It is very good. It's
what does it say? Be with.
So there's basically the 3 principles of being a disciple of Jesus, and it's be with Jesus, become like him, and do as he did. Nice. And it's kind of just obviously you can't be perfect, because he was perfect, but obviously till you love somebody, you want to be like that person, So, and this talks about discipleship to Jesus, and basically I'm only in the beginning of it, but it's describing how this world has, no matter what you believe in, you worship something. You're going to worship something, whether it's a movie star or wokeism or whatever it is, you worship something, you have an idol, it doesn't matter if it's a different religion or something, and that idol shapes you in a way.
Yeah.
And the world around you is always, it's trying to shape you. It's trying to get a hold of you, and it's trying to form you in a certain way that it wants you to feel. And this is talking about, hey, Jesus is reliable. If you told me yesterday, you're like, hey man, I'm gonna die in 3 days, I'd be like, okay, what's going on? And you'd be like, oh no, it's good, I'm gonna come back. I'd be like, oh, what? You're crazy.
Yeah, really.
And then you die. And I'm like, oh, Eddie, morning, 3 days later, you're like, what's up, dude? And I'm freaking out. You're like, what do you mean, dude? I told you I was going to come back. And I'll be like, oh, what? And at that point, I'd probably listen to just about every single thing you had to say after that very carefully.
Yeah, anybody who can predict their death and resurrection, you tend to pay attention to.
Exactly. And, that would make you an extremely reliable person.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to follow Jesus over anything else in this world, so that's where this is going right now, and I love it. It's a great book, and also it's been recommended to me by 3 different people, and I was like, all right, it's about time I read this book,
Cool.
So yeah, it's very good. You should read it as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely add it to my list. I've read. There's been a few other books that Marcus has recommended that I've read that are pretty neat.
Marcus recommended it to the leader of my disciple group, and then he recommended it to us. This is a chain. Yeah.
Heck yeah. So yeah, I know. Awesome. I asked my pastor today. I was like, "Hey, is the Bible study in between the early and late service the only Bible study we do?" And he said, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh." He's like, why do you want another one? I went, kind of.
Yeah. Could you?
Because he thought, he was like, yeah, I've always wanted to do a men's breakfast one or something. In my head, I was like, oh, I was thinking more like evening. So I'm not. It's the early part that's getting me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because can you start like small groups in your church?
I don't know. I don't. That's why I was kind of asking. Like, I guess the ladies meet Tuesday nights and they have a thing, but there's not a men's small group or anything.
Yeah.
And I think, and he said it was more manpower, like just what's the word?
Don't have enough people.
Yeah, they're not interest. There's not enough interest in it or something.
Well,
so.
you could join like a small group in our church. You don't have to go to our church,
Yeah.
But like in ours, like the one of the people in my small group, he's been going to Radiant just for like I don't know how long, but not very long, But before, he was still friends and still doing all the small group stuff. Before he went to Radiant, he was at a Methodist church, and then he just kind of was like, oh, well, my friends are over. Like, he made new friends and went over there, and that's just all it was, But yeah, I mean, we just talk about the Bible, We read through the Bible and talk about it, know. So it's like doesn't really. A denomination should not matter at that point. I feel like, right? I think if you're just reading through the Bible, I mean, I guess, but
no, yeah, but still, that's cool. That's neat. I like that.
It's enjoyable.
It's an option, and that's fun. That's cool with that book. The Practicing the Way, John Mark Comer.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, I'm loving it, and it's hard to find the time right now. But when I do find the time, it's like I dive into it, so it's good.
So you said you've been journaling too.
I have been journaling. Part of the group we're in, and that's a whole different beast.
Yeah,
I was not. I didn't journal before, and then just dived into it with this. And it's like, sometimes I like to read through multiple chapters at once through the gospel, and I can't stop at one, and just write about one chapter. I can force myself to, but it's harder when you get, you just want to keep going. You don't want to stop reading, and then you have to write down these thoughts, and then you pick up, and then it kind of interrupts the flow. But at the same time, it does make you retain quite a bit. So I'm trying to form that habit. But I like getting through it. I also like the feeling of having I read through this many chapters today, which is like a
good little, you feel good about yourself. It's a nice dopamine hit of checking, check the list.
Check a thing off the box. Yeah. Like your to-do list. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So today, Pastor was talking about, and it was funny too, because again, like I said this week, going through the addictions, we've been going through Lent, obviously. It's the third week of Lent. And that also was part of it of what are you giving up for Lent? What are you giving up for Lent? And I was like, well, I might as well give these up and then try that. And so that was the first couple days of what it started as, is just, well, I'm just going to give it up for Lent. And then I was thinking, well, maybe a month or two or something. And then now it's kind of like, well, I'm thinking about it more and more. It's like, well, I should probably just stop that. Maybe Spencer's wedding, I'll have a few, but I don't know after that.
Special occasion type deal.
Yeah. Because the biggest problem is that if I have one, I have 13, and that it was the stopping of it. But anyway, Pastor was talking about the Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape that you may be able to endure it. And so I thought that was super cool. That was today's, because he was talking about, he's like, you hear these platitudes and, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13. And he started getting into it, and he's like, well, yes, but no. He's like, it's not, I can win all my soccer games through Christ who strengthens me. And I can, he's like, Paul was in jail at this time. And he's talking to the people in Philippi, and he's like, they were being very, very generous and helpful towards him. And so he was trying to help them back and thank you, for helping me out with everything. And I know I'm going to get through this because, I can bear all things through Christ, and I can bear being in jail and all of this through Christ who strengthens me. And so it wasn't everybody thought it had come through today. And so he was like, and the other one, he goes, the biggest one I think that gets taken out of context is God will never give you more than you can handle. He's like, the Bible doesn't say that. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. Yeah. And he goes, and it's really dangerous to think about that. Mm-hmm. He's like, if your faith is determined on how much, God can think you can handle, he's like, you're going to lose faith pretty quick. He said, I had it. He goes, the worst occurrence of it I ever had was at a funeral, and the mother had lost her son. And so she was like, so if I didn't have as much faith, if I had smaller faith, my son would still be alive today because God wouldn't give me anything I can't handle, right? And you're just kind of like, oh, like how you can't escape that. You're like, uh-oh. He's like, so he goes, that's not it. He's like, be very careful. He goes, don't say that to people. That's not what it is. Yeah. He's like, the literal explanation of what it is in 1 Corinthians 10:13 is that God is faithful and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability, but when you are tempted with that temptation, he'll provide a way of escape so that you may be able to endure it. And so we need to be careful in our interpretations and what we say. And that's reading through this Christian dogmatics paper, as that's what he keeps coming back to it. He's like, this is what the Bible says. Stop twisting it. Literally follow the word of God and quit making it yourself. It is not, you're not taking God for yourself. No, you need to put your place into God because God comes first, and he wrote down, he did everything, and and he didn't, yes, he did it for you, but at the same time,
it's not about you.
It's not about you. Yeah. And so that was today's sermon. I was like, dang.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Actually, so it's not about you. The leader of my D group, actually, my disciple group, said that to me. I know it's called D group. I avoid using that because it does sound inappropriate. But okay. Gosh dang it. Okay.
We're children.
So I got in an argument with a buddy of mine, and he goes to the Roman Catholic Church, and he is Catholic. I'm sorry. And we frequently talk about Jesus, and he was kind of like leaning towards a works-based salvation.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, whoa, hey, man, I just want to I'm just telling you that it says probably over 100 times in the Bible that you're saved by faith, by faith alone in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, no, I mean, yeah, but you also have to do this and this. And I was like, hey, no. Jesus Christ is enough. He's enough to save you. You don't need all these other rituals and stuff. He's enough. And he's like, oh, no, I mean, we had the 7 sacraments and all this and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, yo, I was just kind of being pretty, trying to be as gentle as I could. And I could see he was really getting offended. And I was kind of starting to get worked up really, really well as well. So then I kind of raised my voice, and we started going really back and forth, pretty hard. And I was like, okay. And then we kind of both stopped it. And of course, I still had more to say. I'm sure he did too, but I felt real bad about it, and I apologized to him and stuff like that.
That's good.
But the leader of my disciple group goes, man, this is where the rubber meets the road. And I was like, yeah, that's the truth. And he goes, first off, it's not about you. I was like, dang, got me. I was like, you're right. It's not about me. I was like, you're so right. Yep. So, yeah. But that was a couple days ago, and we have our meeting this afternoon, so I'm sure he's gonna grill me on that. It'll be funny, but it'll be a good time. But yeah, yep. And it kind of actually, I saw this today, this quote today, and it's kind of a story. But so do you know how lobsters grow?
No.
Okay, so a lobster, it's kind of like a mushy being on the inside, and really hard, rigid on the outside.
Yep.
Well, when the lobster grows, it starts to compress inside if its own shell, and it has to surrender out of that shell and go under a rock and essentially grow a new one, a bigger one, right?
Okay.
So the only way this lobster grows is because it feels uncomfortable, right? That's the only way it knows how to grow. Okay. So what if these lobsters had doctors, right?
Okay.
And this lobster goes, "Yo, doctor, I'm so uncomfortable, man. I need help." Doctor goes, "Okay, here's a Valium, or like here's a Xanax, or here's this and this and this."
Yeah.
And the lobster's like, "Oh man, I don't feel uncomfortable anymore," but it's not growing. This lobster's not doing it. And it's not doing this. So then I looked at that. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And if you just, all you need is Jesus, I guess, is what I got from it. I was like, and it wasn't even about Jesus. Like, this guy was just talking just about life in general.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need those things to grow. You have to, you're comfortable in your shell, but you have to get rid of that old shell, and then you grow into a new shell that you're comfortable in. You know? So it's like, you keep going. But I was like, absolutely. I was like, I don't need like nicotine to fill that void every once in a while. When I'm sitting at my computer, even like literally watching videos about people preaching the gospel, and I still grabbing for that vape,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't need that, I just need Jesus to fill that hole,
Yeah.
So, and that's part of growth, feeling, of course, quitting nicotine is uncomfortable. Like, were you scared?
I wasn't scared. I just was I was very uncomfortable because it's like I had this thing and I had this habit, and I felt it was almost like a security blanket of like, where's my binky?
Hey, literally.
That's what Tiffany used to call it. She's like, you want your pacifier? Where's your binky? You know?
Yep.
And it was, and
it
so
literally is.
It was so much that it was, I think it was an Andy Stanley podcast I was listening to a few weeks ago, and it had popped back up in my head where he was like, if you, it doesn't matter how much money you make, whether you have a lot, a little, anything. It matters how you manage it. It doesn't matter, what kind of shape or what you do or anything, as long as you manage it. He's like, the second that these things start to control you, you no longer have control of your life. And that's when Jesus has talked about, you can't serve two masters. You can't serve God and money, or God and things, because the Greek word is a closer translation to stuff than it is to money. It's just stuff.
Yeah.
And
stuff,
so when you start when you start focusing more on these things than God, like, that's when you've lost control of your life. And it was that really hit in, and of like, okay, well, I'm going to take control back. Like, I can control my life. I can control whom I give the devotion to. It's not going to be cigarettes. It's not going to be alcohol. It's not going to be lust. I'm going to devote my stuff and my life to God and to what I can do and my family. And, so that it was funny because you said about the growth and everything. It was today because Tiffany was like, well, I don't want you to feel terrible, and I don't want you to stop doing everything you love, and I was like, I'll find new stuff to love. And I was like, I'll find new stuff to pay. I said, because there is no stagnation, and
you must not love it if you're quitting it.
And there is no stagnation in nature. If you look into nature, plants, animals, anything, there's nothing stagnant. It is either growing or dying. The mountains are either getting higher or smaller. The water level is rising or shrinking. There is no stagnation in life. You are either growing or you are dying. And if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward.
That's facts.
So that was,
that's awesome.
When you said that was we literally said that at breakfast today. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's awesome. There's no coincidences, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
So sorry, I know I keep rolling back to it. It's a very new thing, and I'm still processing this whole new lifestyle and everything. So I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. You feel, dude, I understand as well. Like when I first started not vaping and not having it around, I didn't feel like myself. But in reality, it's like I was feeling more like myself than I realized, So yeah, I'm excited to like never have it again.
Things
honestly.
Are different. Like even just my vision in the world is like literally my vision is different, and it's weird. And it's those first couple days were very painful. It was almost like the synapses in my brain and my nerves were growing back.
Yeah,
like the from just being numb for so long between alcohol and nicotine. Like you have this physiological reaction where you're like, it's super painful, but that's because you're starting to feel things again. And like you see clearly. Like there's not a haze. Like this is the world as it really is. You're like,
right.
It's a little brighter, and like there's more definition in the trees and the street. It's weird. Like
when I quit vaping before, I was forced to quit vaping because I was deployed overseas.
Yeah.
And when we were in Syria, I stopped vaping, and which is a shame that I ever went back to it, but I did. And I noticed like the difference. Like I could breathe better. I was not out of breath at all. And like my food, even though my vape tastes good, the food still tastes better.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing. Flavors are different now.
It's
Things
like
taste different. It's weird.
My mouth doesn't always have this film in it.
Yeah.
So I noticed all the good things about not vaping while I was in like a very harsh environment, and then I get home and I go right back to it. It just came very well knowing how good it was not having it, but I still went right back to it, and now I'm done.
Yeah, I know. I'm proud of you. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Good to catch up on. We can be accountable to each other.
We can. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Heck yeah, dude.
I know. I think that was I'm not sure if you had anything else to talk about. That was I wanted to, bring up those few things, and
I will say, okay, so I put together a couple bags for like homeless people. If I see a homeless person, I have like a little bag that's got like some snacks, a New Testament Bible in it, and like some baby wipes and toothbrush and stuff.
Neat.
And it's a drawstring bag, so they can like actually use the bag afterwards, not just like a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
And there's this one guy that I always see standing around, and I'm like, I drive by him. I've driven by him multiple times. I'm like, man, I don't have anything to give him anytime. And he's one of those people you can genuinely tell he's like, man, he's down on his luck, and he's not doing good. And so I told myself, I was like, hey, next time I drive by him, I'm gonna stop, even if I don't have anything. I'm gonna stop, and I'm at least gonna like try to talk to him about Jesus, and like maybe give him a little hope in life and stuff,
Yeah.
And so I make these bags, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go find him now. I'm on a mission for this guy, and and I was like, God, I think this is the right thing to do. I think I'm doing the right thing, So I'm driving, I'm looking for this man. I go to the two spots that I've seen him before, and I'm like, okay, like I don't see him. Go by, and then there's like a little tent by the cell phone tower back behind like Burger 81 and stuff that I know there's homeless people at, and I've seen it, but I go by and I'm like, oh, there's nobody there. I stop my truck. I was like, hey, is anybody out there? Nobody answered. I was like, okay, maybe they might think I'm a cop, whatever, So then that was a couple days ago, and then yesterday I volunteered to help out a guy move into a new apartment. Right?
Nice. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So we meet up at this storage unit, and like the guy's there, and I don't really like notice him, and he's just standing there, and he's kind of telling us where to put stuff, and then we get to this apartment that he's at, and we start loading stuff in, and he's standing in the apartment. I look at him, I go, whoa, it's the guy.
Oh, really?
It's the guy.
No way.
And I was praying for this guy, and I looked at him, I was like, oh my gosh, dude. I was like, did you used to go over on the corner of Panera and over in the corner of the high? He's like, yeah, I used to be homeless. I was like, what the heck, man?
I've been looking for
you, dude. I was like, I was going to give you a bag of like stuff that I give to homeless people. I was like, dude, can I give you like a New Testament Bible? And he goes, I got a Bible. I was like, can I give you one anyway? He goes, yeah, okay. So I gave it to him, and I was like, do you know the gospel? And he was like, yeah, I know the gospel. And he kind of was like he wasn't like super like receptive to
just
it.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, just uncomfortable. Yeah. I was like, oh, so it is like, dude, can I just pray for you? I mean, I won't be weird about it or anything. I was like, I've just been looking for you, dude. I didn't mean to be weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, sure, So I prayed for him, and I prayed that he'll stay in this apartment, and that he'll have a roof over his head for the rest of his life, and that Jesus will encounter him in dreams and stuff like that, and he'll, and he'll have a better life. So, but like, yeah, it was so cool, like the power of prayer and stuff. I was like, dude, I was like, what? I was like, that's
dude,
so
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I came home, I told Kristen, I was like, God is so good, and she's like, what happened now? So yeah,
dude. I can't wrap my head around that occurrence.
What?
Yeah,
it's like
that's
you can't.
so crazy.
You literally cannot make it up. You can't what?
Yeah.
Like what the heck?
Yeah, dude. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's. Mine is not as cool. Like that's super cool, but
it still is.
Yeah.
It's like
the what's been happening to me lately is over the last week, I've woken up at 3:13 every morning.
Whoa.
3:13 every morning.
Last week?
Last week. This whole last week, because I've been going to bed earlier because I'm not staying up drinking.
Yeah.
And I've been reading more and everything. And so I was like, I just thought it was weird. But yeah, 3:13 on the dot every morning. And so I started looking more into it, and it was like, that is, at least the internet says, that's there's a guardian angel, and they're basically preparing you for a spiritual awakening. Like, you are about to hit some real stuff with God soon and like leap forward in your spiritual progress. So
that verse in Matthew talks about baptism, so.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. Yeah, I thought that was really cool because I was like, yeah, I kind of feel like that because I have been diving deeper into the scripture, learning Greek and Hebrew.
Yeah, you're going through another
metamorphosis.
Yeah, you're like that book. Those kids' books that it showed
like the caterpillar.
Yeah, and he would turn into a caterpillar.
The beautiful butterfly. Makes me think of a Bug's Life. I'm a beautiful butterfly. I'm a with little wings.
You just unlocked a core memory. Oh my gosh. It's so funny.
Yeah. I'm a beautiful butterfly. I know. See, now I want to watch that movie.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's wild that God literally works in weird, wild ways
that you literally could not predict in any way. Like, how could I know that like literally when I couldn't find him, when I went out looking for him, I was like, I'm gonna go find him. I couldn't find him. I literally was like, all right, God, I guess I understand it's cold, but and then like just kind of like joking around, but but he's just like, nah, Doug, you wait.
There's also been some other stuff that I'll tell you off air, but I can tell that the devil is coming hard.
Oh yeah, always.
Now that I'm trying to be better,
once you get closer, you got a target on your back. Oh, yeah,
and there's been some other struggles going on. But anyway, just it's crazy. So, yeah, it's good, but God is good, and I know we're going to get through it, and that's and that's what sucked is all last week I've been like, well, God's not going to give me anything I can't handle, and then today He's like, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. That's not what it is. But so I'm like, I gotta reshape my platitude.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah,
heck yeah, dude, that's awesome.
So you got your thing tonight.
Yep, I do.
Do you have anything fun? Do you guys do Lenten services on Wednesday or anything?
Yeah, we do. We have worship services. It's a little harder right now with the new baby, but we're working around it. So we are going to some of the extra services. I got a men's group, like a bigger men's group once a month that we do.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome. It's fun. It's actually one of Pat Steffen, one of the teachers from like the Garber school, Essexville school systems is there, and he's awesome. He's just big. He's a big happy ball of energy.
Oh yeah,
and he's awesome.
Mr. Steffen.
Yeah, he walks in the room and he goes, "Yo, what's up, greatness? All that in a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos."
He's the greatest purveyor of edification out of any person I have ever met.
If I've seen anybody who's high on life, it's him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he is cooked off life. He really is. He loves it.
He is. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. Yep.
Well, good. Yeah. Good. I know. We've been going through the small catechism in our Lenten services, going through each of the petitions and each segment of it. And I want to do that for a show upcoming sometime where we take the Lord's Prayer and really break down each petition and go through kind of the context and everything of it. It's fascinating.
Yeah,
it's really, really cool because Jesus was the master teacher.
He was.
And when you really break down like the behind the scenes psychology of what he's saying to you, it is
he's
so
an ethical
crazy.
Genius.
Yeah, it's so crazy that like so much wisdom came out of this dude. Like, he was
the smartest man ever lived.
And that's he's God. That's the thing.
He's God.
It's literally
like there's undisputed.
So
undisputed world champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Heck yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much all we got for today's show, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's been phenomenal getting to catch up with you again. I know it's been wild with baby and everything. So, But I'm proud of you. Absolutely keep going in your endeavors.
Heck yeah, I'm proud of you too, man.
Thank
10
you.
days, that's awesome.
Thank you. I know
awesome.
it's not a lot, but it's a lot for me. So
yeah, it's absolutely every one day
I know a lot of people out there in
One day.
interwebs world don't know me, but I have a problem. So that's a lot for me. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll work through it together. Yeah, absolutely.
And absolutely, we thank you. As the toilet's flushed above us. So thank you so much, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for everything you do in our lives. And we constantly ask you to help us be humble, be patient, and be kind. God bless.
Thank you for joining us for another episode. Always stay positive. Always look to the light. And always remember, there is one love, and that is His. Peace be with you. And always with you. Did you enjoy this episode? Then check out more at 999.network, Mid-Michigan's premier podcast network.